Hang on a second. I couldn't hear myself twice. That is very disconcerting. I think I have to turn my computer audio off. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, you won't recognize me when you see the film because I actually had to wear an entire silicone mask over my entire head. But if you go to my Instagram, there's a picture there somewhere on my profile. So you can check that out if you're interested. And yeah, it's a really cool film. It should be coming. Sorry about Pixie. Okay. I will definitely keep you all posted when it's coming out and when to see it and everything like that. It's a horror comedy, so it's not just horror, but it's actually really funny scripts, and it's really fun it was fun to do, and I think it'll be really fun to watch as well.
That's so awesome. So actually, Katarina, I do need you to unmute yourself. I forgot about something about how this works. If you could unmute yourself, let's see how it goes now that you have the headphones in.
Okay. How's this?
Making a double. I don't know how to resolve this. Emily, I see you're in the chat. If you remember how to resolve this issue, please let me know. In the meantime, we're going to keep going. Oh, TK, now you love cats. All right, TK's in the chat over on YouTube. Guys, just in case you see me responding to comments that you don't see on Instagram, it's because we are also live on several other places. So shout out to our folks watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. So we're going to dive into... well, actually, I do want to ask you a few more questions because we have a lot of people here, and I know they're here to see you. So how has your quarantine been going? And then has there been any changes you've made to your daily routine to deal with quarantine?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm a bit of an introvert. So for me, quarantine hasn't been a terrible experience in terms of, being able to, without having to make up an excuse not to socialize, just to have a little bit of extra time for myself. And I have been doing quite a bit of writing. So I finished a script that's been lying around on my desk for several years. So I finished that a few months ago. That was the
Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's amazing.
That was an exciting event in my life because that would been, you know how it is. It's sitting inside, wants to come out, but I didn't really have the time or the focus, to sit down and really do it. So I finally had an opportunity to do that. And then, as I said, I was lucky enough to work on this film, and I did have a couple of other wrestling things. So it wasn't all, like a waste of a year, or it wasn't as difficult as maybe it was for some other people. So I got lucky in that sense. And then I'm working on another project right now that I want to shoot a concept trailer for. So I'm getting ready for that, which I'll share more information as that happens. So it's just kind of, in a sense, it sort of made me able to refocus a little bit more and just, focus on myself and what I really want to do, my creative outlets, rather than, just rushing from one thing to the next.
That's just really awesome to hear, because even though we all had all this time alone into ourselves, some people have said, they felt too distracted. They still felt stressed, by the things in their house. So that's really amazing that you were able to channel that and focus and use that time to good. So I'm so happy to hear that about your script. That's just really wonderful, because I know you've been talking about it for a while. So hoping good things for that.
Thank you.
So we appear to have fixed the sound issue on all platforms now. It only took us 5 minutes.
I think because earlier there was a time lag, and now it's not.
Yes.
Now it's like the same time. So
the mystery of live streaming. I think that's been something kind of funny about wrestling. So a lot of wrestling shows have tried to go into a live format online.
Yes.
And some have had more success than others and found that this is actually pretty difficult to do.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I wouldn't want to have to set up that technology. I'm not, it's not like I'm not technically talented, but I also, some things just somebody would have to show me how to set it up, and then I could probably do it. But it sounds complicated. So I'm glad I don't have to.
Yes, I'm reading some of the chats. We have some folks from Germany saying hi to you, and I know, like me, you were born in West Germany.
Yes, I was. I was born in Lüneburg. Hallo.
Hallo. Das ist gut.
Hallo nach Deutschland. Yeah.
So we have another person in the chat who is saying they remember you from WWE, and you worked really well with Paul Burchill.
Oh, thank you. That was a fun time.
Someone else has asked, does Katarina still wrestle? Do you live under a rock, dude? Yes.
Well, I come and go a little bit, right? Because I did actually, like a few years ago, I took a year or two off, pretty much. And then I sort of got the bug again. So, yeah, I still wrestle here and there.
That seems to be something very common, and to call it the bug, because none of us seem to be able to explain why. But for 20 years, to have a career that spans 20 years, have you had times like that before where you've taken time off and then like just drawn back to it?
Yeah, I mean, actually, ironically, before I went to WWE, I had a period like that, because I'd moved to London so I went to university for film and drama. I think you know that. But I'd gone to London to pursue, that side of things. And I just happened to find a wrestling school. And because I was a fan, I thought that would be cool to try. I went and did, wrestled. And then I wrestled for Hammerlock UK and FWA for a couple of years. And that was going really well. But then it dawned on me that what I really, really wanted to do was acting. So I figured I was going to, direct my focus towards that. And then I started doing some plays. And, with plays, you have to take that time off because it's rehearsals every day. And then it's, shows every day. So I hardly wrestled at all for like a year. And then suddenly I got booked in France, and then I got booked in Japan, and then WWE called. Well, they didn't call. I went to a tryout. But it just happened to be coincidentally there was a tryout, and I thought, oh, well, why not try it, So, and then I sort of got back into it that way.
So I actually didn't know that you wrestled in Japan. I missed that. What was that experience like, as far as like, would you ever do that again? Was it very different than how you wanted to wrestle? Well,
I was only there for one show, literally.
Your kitty cat.
Right. I don't know. I've been sitting here for a while. She's only maybe she likes the spotlight, who knows. Anyway, it was only for the one show. There was a tour. There was a 2-week tour or something after that. But that was the first show I wasn't on the tour. I was just booked for that one show. So I was in Tokyo for literally 4 days. But we did wrestle at Korakuen Hall.
I've been there. I still can't say it right.
I know, I should do too. That's terrible on me. I'm terrible. But so it was, originally they'd said it was going to be like a girls tour, but there was some men on it. There was Japanese and Mexican wrestlers and some American wrestlers. And I actually tagged with Natty Neidhart and Becky Lynch against 2 Mexican guy wrestlers.
Wow. Amazing. That's an
That was
amazing
fun.
fact I didn't know about you before.
It was really fun. Hi, Roddy. Love you too.
And if people don't know, Katarina is so good at high flying stuff. I learned that. And so I can only imagine how awesome that match must have been with all those great people in it. So real quick, I do want to talk a little bit about Women Wrestling Talk for those of you who are just joining us and are like, what is this show and what's happening? Every Tuesday, we interview a woman in the wrestling world, whether she's a wrestler or a booker or an owner or a referee. And we ask them the questions that we hope and we think that other people haven't asked them before. So it's a really good time. This week we interviewed Rosemary, and that was a hilarious interview because
Nice.
if you've ever heard Rosemary, she is quite demonic. So you can check that out on our YouTube or Anchor or Google Podcast or Spotify, pretty much anywhere. And we'll talk about that a little more in a second. But I also want to mention that the voice you hear at our podcast, who announces the title and the segment, is actually Katarina. Hire her for your voice acting positions.
Yay!
So we're gonna dive. Sorry.
I'm very honored to be the voice.
Thank you. We're honored to have you. So we're going to talk about the news, guys. And as I go through the news, if anyone has comments or questions, please post them. We love reading your comments. We love hearing your opinions. So we're going to dive right in. WWE had a lot of news this week, so I might not do it all because I don't like them hogging up my show. Nikki Bella was recently on a podcast called Pretty Big Deal, and she said she would like to work in WWE Creative for the women's roster. And this was very interesting because she's one of the few female talents out of WWE who might actually have the power to make that happen. And it would be nice to have a woman working with the creative team because I feel like WWE's creative team really struggles when it comes to women. Do you have any thoughts on having a woman be in the creative team or what's going on with Nikki in general or anything about that?
I do, of course. I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think that Nikki would be a good choice. I know back in the day when they first started, the Bella twins got a little bit of flack because people thought they were just there because they were pretty and because they were twins and this and that. But I can honestly tell you from having been there at the same time, they really worked as hard as anybody, for their spots. And because they really wanted to improve and they really wanted to get good and they really developed a passion for it, So, and I think they're obviously both kind of quite savvy, I think in business and things like that, and also just wanting to be creative and wanting to work. So I think she'd be a good choice for that.
Right. I absolutely agree with you. She definitely understands television too, as the aspect of WWE as a TV show, which, she's not just a wrestler. She has done the reality TV show, so it's kind of in her favor.
Yeah.
Next piece of news, Bailey was on Steve Austin's podcast, and I heard it was really good, and a lot of people recommended it. If anyone in the chat has seen it, let us know your thoughts on it. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is going on in NXT. That's something that was created in 2015, but this is the first year it will feature women, a women's division in that tag tournament, and those matches will start on the 20th. We have a few teams announced so far. Traditionally, I believe the Tag Team Classic is done with 8 teams, and I think we have 4 teams announced. So Shotzi is teaming up with Ember Moon. So that I would call that team people are going to go flying. Candice and Indy Hartwell are teamed up, of course. They've been working together. Casey Catanzaro is teamed up with Caden. Tony Storm and Mercedes Martinez are teaming up. And I'm like, that is the most exciting team up for me because I love Mercedes Martinez. I have a really big mark for Mercedes Martinez. So we don't know what the other teams will be yet. I'm assuming we'll see Raquel and Dakota Kai as a team because they've been hanging out with each other. We also recently did an interview. It's coming up next week with Taylor Wilde, who trained Aaliyah. So I'm hoping we'll see Aaliyah. So out of those teams I named, Kat, are there any girls on that team that you really like to watch or you think are awesome?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Shotzi Blackheart, of course. Having wrestled her, at a Hood Slam and just knowing what she brings and then watching her kill herself over and over on Instagram.
I know. I'm so So yeah, I remember as long as you, yeah, it hurts, man. I watched her go to the ground every day. Shotzi.
But I don't know, there's just something about her gimmick that is just so like enticing to watch because it's so out there and it's so strong, but it's also, you know, she's so gorgeous, but she like just brings her whole like so much personality to it. Like I'm just a huge fan of Shotzi in every single way.
Definitely rooting for her. Us West Coast folks are all rooting
Yeah.
for Shotzi. Which tells you something about her, honestly. When the folks back home still have your back when you go to WWE, it means you deserve to be there, man.
Yeah, and I mean I've wrestled her too, so from that standpoint, also I'm a big fan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And she didn't throw herself at the ground when you two wrestled.
She may have. If I express concern, she brushed it off.
That's so funny. So Emily, this is a small bit of news, but Emily Anzulis, who is competing in the Rock's Titan Games, she got signed to WWE, and apparently her new name has been announced as Ivy Nile, which definitely given some Egyptian-y vibes there. So interesting to see. You know, sometimes we don't see people who get signed for a long time, and sometimes their name will change again. But for now, her name is Ivy. And then we have the Women's Royal Rumble is coming up soon. And so far, the entrants who have been announced are Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. Do you, out of those names I just said, would you pick any of them to win the Rumble?
Me?
Yes.
No.
Putting you on the spot.
I'm not that well versed with everyone. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know where they are on the card sort of thing at the moment. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I know Nia Jax has obviously always been up there, but didn't she win one before? No.
Definitely. I don't remember. I'm also not that up with them. If you have any thoughts, those of you watching, who you think, if out of the women they've already announced, if any of them will win? I don't think Mandy Rose or Dana Brooke will, but I'm happy that they're getting some time to shine. I think it's probably going to be a Nia or a Charlotte or a Bayley, you know, one of their bigger players. But if it was Bianca Belair, I would lose my shit.
Oh, that would be a good one. I think that there's a lot of buzz around Bianca. I do hear that.
Yes, I wanted you to say Bianca because I love your accent and I knew that was going to sound nice.
I saw some vignette that she did where she was like hurdle running or something. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. I don't like who can do that.
Yeah, she is.
I mean, wow.
Amazing athlete. Yeah.
Yes, and then her hair is like down to her feet. I mean, how does she do it?
Yes, she's so cool. I think when she first got signed, somebody from WWE was like, "We got a girl in developmental right now who could squat 400 pounds and like smile while she does it." Oh, that was Bianca.
Amazing.
So we have a few people in the comment. Kat doesn't want to cause drama. Absolutely, she is a political player. Charlotte Flair will win, I think. Team Liv Morgan, another vote for Charlotte. I actually don't think any of the currently announced will win. I think we have a surprise Ronda Rousey. Oh, gosh. I hope not. Sorry, guys. I don't like it when outside people win. I'm a mark.
Well, she's not there officially, right?
Right, but she could. They're right. She could be a surprise. So recently, Teal Piper got engaged to someone named Damos. And I think that's how you pronounce it. And they mentioned on a podcast that they had rolled around in the ring with Ronda and her guy. So that has some people speculating, you know, she is keeping herself in ring shape. It could be. Or they could have just been having fun. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe she's going to AEW.
That would be so funny. I actually would like to see that, just to see people lose their mind.
It could happen.
This is wrestling, and I love to believe that anything could happen. So we're going to move on to AEW news. Speaking of AEW, so AEW has announced that they are having Dynamite Awards. I think this is their first time because they're new. Yeah, okay. Dynamite Awards, which will be live streamed on Wednesday, January 27th. And we can actually go vote on those awards on the TNT website. So I would like to tell everyone watching, go vote for the women, please.
What are the categories?
So there's a lot of categories. You know, there's like breakout female star, breakout male star, things like that. But there's like weird categories too, like biggest cleanup. And some of them are like when Big Swole dumped garbage on Britt Baker, or when Orange Cassidy got orange juice everywhere. And then like biggest LOL moment. So there's some fun, silly categories, and there's lots of women in the categories. So please, well, there's like one woman per category, but dang it, we're there. So go vote, everybody.
I'm a big fan of the Big Swole.
Yes, yes, good. She's awesome. I've really enjoyed watching her career too, because I think she's getting more and more what's the word? Formed is not the word I want. Like, she's getting more and more into who she wants to be, and I love to see that.
Yeah.
Tay Conti had her first televised title match ever on AEW, because she didn't WWE. She challenged Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship, and she lost. But it's cool to see that she got that opportunity, and I'm hopeful there will be more for her. Red Velvet appears to be taking Brandy's place in the Jade Cargill feud. Presumably, a pregnant lady should not be in a wrestling feud, so that makes sense. Britt Baker will face Thunder Rosa at AEW Dynamite Beach Break. That's been something they've been building to for a long time. They were actually supposed to wrestle this week, but Thunder Rosa unfortunately was exposed to somebody who had COVID, so for precaution's sake, they couldn't have that match. So that's all the news I had on AEW. Let's read a few comments. Swole reminds me of a new age Jacqueline. I mean that in the most respectful way possible. I love that comparison, because Jacqueline was my second favorite wrestler when I was a little kid. Let's see. Bianca Belair will win the Rumble. Tay deserves more chances for sure. I want to see a Serena versus Cat match. We all want to see that.
Yes. Well, we wrestled each other, of course, back in OVW.
That's so cool. I heard you were you in the first women's ladder match at OVW?
Yes, I was in the first women's ladder match and won it to unify and win the very first official OVW Women's Championship.
Dang, such a champ. It's funny to me, I know things have changed a lot, but I tell people all the time, I really look up to you as my veteran, as one of the good veterans that actually like tries to help and everything. So to know like I've gone places you've gone makes me feel like Hood Slam and OVW. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell folks the name of your kitty? Because I do see some people talk about it. Not everybody did. Was that Pixie we're seeing? I missed.
That was Pixie. Yes, it was sitting on my desk. Yes. That was Pixie, and then wait, back there. Oh, Harley, back here. It's one of the small little ones. Did I pause you? Sorry, that was my
something weird happened.
my phone telling me my battery is running low, but it's okay. I have some time left.
Okay, we'll try to breeze through these last ones then.
Yeah. So two of my kids, it's their second birthday today. So.
Yay! Happy birthday to the kitty. Anna Jay will be AEW Women's Champion this year. She's great. Guys, funny enough, I might have been Anna Jay's last indie match. I'm not sure if I was the very last, but I was one of the last. We actually got to wrestle. I'd never met her before. And we planned this whole match, and then she stood up. She'd been sitting the whole time. And I was like, woman, you were like a foot taller than me. Why didn't you mention this when I was planning? So we had to change everything. But it was so fun. I love that match. It's up on YouTube. If you ever get bored, go find it.
Cool.
What's up, Hyde? I see you in there. We've got some more folks showing you love.
Yay.
Love the love. So an Impact Hard to Kill's pay-per-view is this weekend. Like I said, we just did an interview in case you missed that part. We did an interview with Rosemary, so you can check that out on our YouTube channel or on Anchor if you just want to listen to it. And speaking of Rosemary, we had a mini DK reunion. Crazy Steve gave her an assist in her match against Neil Dashwood. The last time we saw this stable, which also included Abyss, was in 2017. So I kind of love when there's callbacks to old alliances. So many times, like, as the fan, you're watching and you're like, hey, this person, you two used to know each other. And then wrestlers have to just like pretend that didn't happen. So it's always a beautiful moment.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to work with Rosemary when you were at Impact? I'm sorry, I don't quite remember the time.
No, it was like I think she was injured at that time when I was there. Yeah,
because that would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
So because of this match, Tennille and Caleb will face Rosemary and Crazy Steve at that pay-per-view. Also on the card, we're going to have the Knockouts Tag Team Champions are going to be crowned for the first time since it was deactivated in 2013. So we've had this whole tournament. We've been talking about it. And now we're down to the finals. It's going to be Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, who we just recently interviewed, versus Havoc and Nevaeh.
Love Kiera Hogan.
Yes, I love her too. She's so sweet and fiery, which is why she was perfect in WoW as Fire. Like they really called that.
Yes.
So I'm going to give a prediction for this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have opinions on what I'm going to say, feel free to share them up in. I think that the belts should go to Kiera and Tasha because I think that Havoc and Nevaeh are strong monsters no matter what. I think alone, together, they're this team that you're going to be on alert for if you have to wrestle them. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel that Kiera and Tasha, because they are so entertaining outside of the ring, that if you put the belts on them, that they're going to be entertaining no matter who they have to face to defend the titles. And they're going to make you always care about who's going to win it. Because if you put it on the monsters, you're kind of going to feel like they're always going to keep the belts because who could defeat them? Right. So that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear if you have a thought on it.
Well, I think that's a pretty astute kind of way of looking at it. I don't actually know Tasha, or I haven't seen Devin yet, so I can't comment on that. Otherwise, I'd be inclined to agree with you, other than the fact, again, that I haven't seen like the build up. So I think it always depends. Also, I mean, obviously, it always depends a little bit on the storyline and how did they get to the point where they're fighting for the title, and that also informs, you know, an opinion of who should win or who should lose. But I think you're probably right that in terms of, you know, the monsters being strong enough without them and Kiera and Tasha,
definitely,
you know, having that add something to that team.
Right. So there were a few comments that I missed. So I do just want to go back. I'd like to see Katarina versus Hikaru Shida. I agree. You should tell AEW that you want, you know, fans, when you want to see somebody, speak up. Tell the promotions you want to see it. Tell them all the time, because they're not just going based on their, you know, their ways. I'm not going to tell you how things get booked, but they are also influenced by what the fans want. So if you want to see matches, you got to make sure that the companies know what you want to see, because I want to see that too. I'm very selfish. So we also have Taya Valkyrie having a championship match against Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo is the current champion. I kind of feel like Taya has to win this one for storyline purposes. I'd love to know, fans in the comments, let me know what you think. And then some Ring of Honor news, finally. It feels like Ring of Honor hasn't had news about women in a really long time. Sumi Sakai and Amy Rose have both re-signed with the company. So I'm over here being hopeful, hoping that means that they trust that there's a plan and that we are going to see more Women of Honor and more matches, because this year I don't think they had a match since February, I think. And the guys had the peer tournament, so it's not like Ring of Honor didn't do anything. They did some stuff. So bring the women back, please. Thank you. Let's see. Did you talk about the new Impact announce team of Striker and D'Lo? I haven't, because they're men, and I don't talk about men. But I think Striker is a really, really, really great guy to have on commentary, and I like D'Lo as a person. So I think that'll be really great. Love to know what you guys think. Kat, did you have any thoughts on Matt Striker or D'Lo? I don't know if you knew either of them.
I mean, I know them, you know, same as I like them both personally. I think that Matt Striker, I've heard his commentary before, and I think he's good. So, but I don't think I've heard D'Lo on commentary per se.
I haven't either. Yeah.
But I mean, he's as knowledgeable as anybody else in the business, so I'm sure he'll do good.
Absolutely. He's a trainer at FSW. So sorry, my squeaky chair. He's a trainer at FSW. So, you know, I know for a fact, like you said, he's super knowledgeable. So that should be a fun combination. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I want to talk about is a little bit of a downer. I'm sorry, guys, but I think it's really important. Shad Gaspard passed away last May in a tragic swimming accident, as most of you know, and this week would have been his 40th birthday. Kat, I know that you knew Shad. I was wondering if you'd like to say a few things about him in remembrance or anything you'd like to share.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Shad was, and I think if anyone was following, last year with the memorial and everything, all the stories that people were telling was how kind and generous he was with, he was always there for everybody, like helping them and wanting to improve everybody's life around him, not just his own. And that's something that I had experience with him as well, especially when I first came to LA, actually, even more than in WWE. When I first came to LA, and he was giving me a lot of like insight into the world of Hollywood and acting and stuff like that, and really just took the time to help me as much as possible. And then the other thing is too that for me was as tragic as anything else. Obviously, the most tragic was leaving his wife and son, but knowing that he had some project that he'd written and that he was working on, and it was sad that the world hasn't yet gotten to see the other sides to him, because he was, I mean, as great as he was as a wrestler and how funny and how charismatic in the ring, he also had another side to him where he could, where he was writing his own material and he was really working hard in the film business. And I think he was just really close to really doing something big, and it was a shame that got cut short. No, it's very, very sad.
And our thoughts are with his family. And then just real quick, because I found out that a lot of people don't know this, so every time I talk about Shad, I want to bring up riptides. The way to get out of a riptide is to swim in a diagonal. You will feel yourself being pulled. You'll be trying to swim towards shore and you won't be going anywhere. If you feel that, don't panic. Start swimming out in a diagonal, or like put the land kind of to your left and start swimming, and you'll get right out. Hopefully that I knew about it myself and my brother-in-law. So I just want everyone in the world to know, because it can get you anywhere at any time in the water. And Shad was a very strong man. Mm-hmm. And, as always, the thought that he put his son before his own life and was a true hero to the end. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledged him. So thank you for sharing your words, Kat. So now we are going to wrap up the news. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be doing this every Thursday. We took a little break for Christmas, so please join us next Thursday, same time, same whatever channel that you are watching this on. We will have a new guest next week. I believe it is a comedian, Jay Washington. He's very funny, so please be sure to tune in. You can also watch our podcast every Tuesday. This past one, we had Rosemary. Please watch it before the pay-per-view because it adds a lot of fun information for you. And then next week, we're having Taylor Wilde, who is coming out of retirement.
Wow.
Signed to a company.
What?
Yes. Yeah, like big news. So check that out next Tuesday. Now, Kat, please put yourself over. Tell everybody how to support you, where to find you, all that good stuff.
Well, if you're on Instagram live watching, then here on my Instagram, Katarina's Infamy. Also on Twitter, obviously, Katarina's Infamy. I have a Patreon also with Katarina's Infamy. What else? Yeah, I don't know. Just retweet me. Look out for me. I'll be sharing news about upcoming projects and stuff like that. And I feel very supported and very loved. I have people that feel that are always in my corner, and I'm very grateful for that. And and thanks for stopping by today also.
Yes, thank you so much. So we'll see you around, everybody. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Good night. Bye.